Hi, I'm Dr. Howard. In the last session of my Protect Your Brain series, I told you the first reason why, for most people, meals should not include excess protein. Essentially, it forces the body to make more insulin than necessary, temporarily putting the body out of homeostatic balance, which is quite stressful, especially for the kidneys and brain. Excess protein is defined as more protein than is required for repair and maintenance functions. If yesterday's talk didn't convince you, I'll give you 4 more reasons not to ingest excess protein. First, if a person has a carb limit, a high protein-carb balanced meal is an oxymoron. It should be obvious that having a carb limit and ingesting a lot of protein is incompatible in the context of preparing meals with protein-carb balance. High protein would trigger the release of a huge amount of insulin that would then require a gigantic amount of carbs to balance it. As mentioned before, 1 ounce of meat needs 5.5 ounces of white potato to provide protein-carb balance. So eating a 3-ounce hamburger would require eating over a pound of potatoes with 95 grams of carbs. Or eating 6 bananas, each about 7 inches long, and providing about 79 grams of total carbs. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, and fruit are about the lowest carb-dense foods that can be used for this purpose to achieve this type of balance. And fruit has way too much fructose for most people to safely use it this way, as it would raise uric acid levels, which is another stress. Second, high-protein diets stress the liver and the kidneys. Protein that can't be used immediately can't be stored and therefore must be burned for energy in order to dispose of it. Unfortunately, burning protein stresses the body, in general because it produces a lot of acid waste, adding to the stress on the liver and kidneys, as reflected in a lowering of the urine pH. Chronically low urine pH is considered to be a very unhealthy sign. The word protein is being loosely used to refer to all chemical compounds containing nitrogen molecules. Technically, these are mainly amino acids, actual proteins, and nucleic acids, RNA and DNA. These organic acids can be thought of as carbon chains that have been decorated with nitrogen molecules. All foods provide carbon, which is an integral part of their cellular structure. So to burn protein, first the nitrogen needs to be removed so that the remaining carbon chain can be burned as a carb. The process of separating the nitrogen from the carbon chain is called deamination. Meanwhile, leftover nitrogen waste needs to be removed from the body, so the waste from the amino acids are first converted to ammonia and then to urea in preparation for disposal, and the waste from the nucleic acids is first converted to uric acid. I'm sorry for all of this technical stuff, but there are 2 different disposal paths that are stressful in different ways. I'll keep it as simple as I can. Ammonia is converted to urea, which is sent to the kidneys from where it's excreted. This brings us to the third reason for not eating high-protein meals. They must absolutely be avoided by people with a history of gout, and this means all excess protein, because their bodies have trouble processing uric acid. Uric acid is very bad for gout sufferers because it can form sharp pointed crystals in their bodies. And these uric acid crystals, along with the pain that their sharp points cause, are the defining characteristic of gout. Disposing of the uric acid, which is a byproduct of excess protein disposal, requires additional acid waste that needs to be processed by the kidneys. In fact, disposing of excess protein can create so much acid waste that there may not be enough extra potassium available to do the job of neutralizing it, and calcium has to be pulled out of a person's bones to finish neutralizing the acid in order to prevent it from literally burning the kidneys. This leads us to the 4th reason. If protein is chronically pulled out of a person's bones to neutralize the acid waste that are byproducts from burning protein, is it really a surprise that osteoporosis eventually knocks at the door? A number of years ago, Italian medical doctors provided osteoporotic women with therapeutic levels of potassium supplementation and found that the women's bone loss not only stopped, but their osteoporotic bones reabsorbed the lost calcium and returned to a normal state of bone health. without the need for medication. The women in these studies were pre-screened and selected because their kidneys were still healthy enough for high-dosage potassium supplements to be utilized safely under clinical supervision. So now that we know that eating high-protein meals is not usually a good idea, the question is, how much protein do you really need? And this will be the topic of tomorrow's video. Bless you with love.